And in those silent nights, perhaps Elvis began to wonder, who was he really when the stage lights went out? No one ever imagined that from a small tin-roofed house in Mississippi would rise a voice that would forever change the face of music. He wasn't royalty, nor a graduate of any music academy. Just a boy in oversized pants, with dreams far too big for a world that small. But within a few short years, his name shook the world. Worshipped on stage, and tightly guarded behind the bars of fame. But fame is a double-edged sword. It gives everything, money, love, power, then slowly takes it all back, along with your soul. This isn't just a story about music. It's a story of rise, of fame, and the downfall of a king. Elvis Aaron Presley was born on January 8, 1935, in a small house in Tupelo, Mississippi. He was the son of Vernon and Gladys Presley, a poor couple surviving on hard labor wages and modest dreams. They didn't have much. But what they had, they gave entirely to Elvis. Love, prayers, and the voices of faith flowing from an old radio and a small Baptist church down the road. From a young age, Elvis had fallen in love with music. Not the music of the elite, but the music of the people. Gospel, blues, and country, rhythms born from suffering and hope. He would sit quietly in church pews, absorbing every harmony, storing those notes deep in his soul. When his family moved to Memphis in 1948, Elvis carried the Southern sound within him. In the bigger city, he worked odd jobs while continuing to write songs and play guitar. He wasn't a standout kid. He was shy, long-haired, and often mocked for looking different. But when he started to sing, everyone fell silent. In 1953, Elvis stepped into Sun's studio to record a song as a birthday gift for his mother. No one knew that this simple recording would become a turning point in music history. Sam Phillips, owner of Sun Records, heard something different in Elvis's voice. A voice that blended white gospel, black soul, and the restlessness of American youth. A voice that had never existed before. And from one small recording in Memphis, a star was born. In 1956, Elvis Presley was no longer just a young singer from Memphis. He was a cultural explosion that couldn't be stopped. When he appeared on national television through The Ed Sullivan Show, millions of eyes were glued to the screen. Not just because of his voice, but the way he shook his hips, slammed the microphone, and stared into the camera as if breaking the wall between screen and audience. To the younger generation, Elvis was freedom. To the older generation, he was a threat. Churches condemned him. Parents forbade their children from watching. But bands only made his name burn brighter. Young people rushed to buy his albums, imitated his hairstyle, and turned his stage moves into acts of rebellion. Tight pants, leather jackets, shiny shoes, Elvis didn't just sing. He shook the world. He was the face of something new and dangerous, rock and roll. His concerts became mini riots. Girls screamed, fainted, even tried to storm the stage. He didn't just sing, he created hysteria. But behind all of that, Elvis was still a simple man from the South. Yet now he had become a symbol of a changing America. An America beginning to shake tradition. An America searching for its identity through rhythm, rebellion, and one man named Elvis Presley. The higher Elvis soared, the tighter the world around him became. Behind the wide smile and dazzling stage lights, his life was slowly controlled by one man, Colonel Tom Parker, his manager and master planner. From tour schedules, to the films he had to star in, to who was even allowed near him. Elvis became an entertainment machine. He performed night after night, filmed movies he didn't enjoy, sang songs he didn't choose. His schedule was packed, his body exhausted, his spirit quietly fading. At home, his personal life began to crack. His marriage to Priscilla, once a peaceful harbor amid the chaos, began to crumble. They were separated by distance, and by a world that kept pulling Elvis further from himself. To cope, Elvis started relying on something else. Sleeping pills, stimulants, painkillers. His private doctor was on call 24 hours a day. His body was forced to keep going even as his mind grew weary. He no longer sang for freedom. He sang to survive. And though the lights still shone, and thousands still screamed his name, Elvis was slowly trapped in a prison of his own making. A prison of fame, of others' expectations, and of a voice within him that had grown so quiet, it was barely heard at all. Graceland, to the world, it was the king's palace. But to Elvis, it was a fortress of escape. A place where he tried to hide from a spotlight that never dimmed. Behind the white gates and grand gardens were long, quiet nights, and a loneliness that slowly froze his heart. His body began aging faster than his years. Weight gained rapidly, blood pressure spun out of control, and his dependence on medication grew stronger. But in front of the public, he still stood, still sang, still smiled. He walked onto the stage with heavy steps, singing old songs he once loved, now a burden he carried night after night. And even when the voice cracked, the crowd's deafening cheers never stopped, as if trying to cover up the growing fragility on stage. His close friends started to worry. Priscilla was gone. His daughter, Lisa Marie, visited only now and then. Elvis was surrounded by people, yet still felt utterly alone. Graceland was no longer a home. It became a mirror of Elvis's life, grand on the outside but hollow within. And in those silent nights, perhaps Elvis began to wonder, who was he really when the stage lights went out? On the morning of August 16, 1977, the world fell silent. Elvis Presley was found lifeless in the bathroom of Graceland. He was only 42 years old. News of his death spread like lightning. Tears flooded the streets, radios played his songs non-stop, and fans stood in line for hours just to say goodbye. But, for millions, Elvis never truly died. He lives on in the voices of singers he inspired, in the stage presence that became the standard, in the rock and roll heartbeat of modern pop culture. Every year, thousands travel to Graceland, not just to remember, but as if hoping that Elvis is still there, smiling from a window, writing lyrics for his next song. And amid all the sorrow, a question lingers that never quite disappears. Did Elvis really die? Conspiracy theories arose. Some claimed to see him at gas stations. Others believed he faked his death and lived in hiding, as if the world simply refused to let him go. Maybe because Elvis was never just a singer. He was a symbol of youth, of hope, of freedom. He is a memory that refuses to fade. Time may pass. The world may change. But Elvis's voice still echoes. Not just on the radio or old recordings, but in the hearts of millions who grew up with his songs. Elvis Presley may be gone physically, but his legacy is far too great to be buried with his body. He was a king, but also a man, with wounds, hopes, and longing just like the rest of us. And maybe, that's why his voice never truly faded. What do you think Elvis was really searching for in his life? Write your answer in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more historical stories that don't just entertain but bring back to life those who once changed the world. Thank you for watching. Remember, every shot tells a story worth remembering. Subscribe, and see you in the next One Shot History.